Hi, I'm John Rogers.
Jeff Thorne.
Hey, we're here to talk about the Librarians and the Heart of Darkness. And I don't know if we mentioned it yet, but I love the fact they let us actually do the Indiana Jones thing with the title.
Yeah, they look cool.
Because we actually did that in the room before we knew they'd show the title on the episodes. But much like on our old show, Leverage, and it's on Leverage, we called everything the X job because it was just one of those things that kept everything within the metaphor and within the tone, even when we were breaking stuff in the room, treating the episode titles like pulp. So the Heart of Darkness is our horror episode.
Some of the episodes of the show are rock solid. Here's what our show is. And then some of the episodes are, here's where the edges of our show are.
We wanted a horror episode, and that's why John Harrison's directing, actually. John Harrison, who directed Leverage for us, actually started as a horror director with George Romero. So he treated it straight up like a horror movie. We found a great old creepy house, and that was part of the fun, is you flew up to Portland.
Yes.
We thought we'd have to build sets, and you flew up to Portland, and they brought you out into the woods.
Well, one of the things that John has established on the other show was that it's always good for the writer. There's a lot of stuff that's in our head, and then the real world says, yeah, we're not doing that. So
TV writing is just being constantly disappointed.
Yeah. So, but in this particular case, we really lucked out. We did very little to this house. The family was gracious enough to let us to come into their grounds and use what they had there. When I got up there, it was very helpful because I could rewrite according to what the house actually is versus the house that was in my head. It really helped. It helped quite a bit. I think it helped the actors to be able to not be on a set, to be able to lean on the walls, to be able to kick the doors, to be able to do all the stuff you would really do.
Yeah, there's actually two things in the episode that Rebecca does as Bear to show her frustration. That was her improv.
Yep.
That we wound up keeping in the show.
Yep.
Because everyone was just kind of in the ethos of we were trapped in the haunted house and getting angrier and angrier and angrier.
Right.
A lot of first season, and you'll hear me say this in these other videos, is about establishing the roles of the characters, how they function well enough that the audience understands them, so you no longer have to constantly reference them, and then can build on that in future seasons. And we get to bring back Leah Zawanda.
Leah.
She was an actress who was on Leverage. We always remembered her. She was fantastic. She and Christian really get along very well in the episode, both for their characters and personally. We were very impressed by her. And so when we were talking about, like, look, we're doing a horror movie. We want to send up some of the tropes, but we really want to explore them. We need the final girl. And the name of the episode was almost The Final Girl.
Right.
So, you know, in the tradition of the horror movies of what happened, the one survivor.
Right.
And there's a couple Librarians episodes actually which play around with the idea because look, magic shows are an established television trope. You as viewers have seen a lot of shows like this.
Right.
You know what they're supposed to look like. So part of the fun of us as fans, as geeks who also get to write this stuff, is we get to experiment with that. So a couple of these episodes are what happens 30 seconds after the other episode of this.
That's right.
Like if you just saw the straight up horror movie, our show starts 30 seconds after it ended. Thank Eric Heisler. Eric Heisler is a great screenwriter and director. As we were developing this show, I realized that we were brushing up against something that he had written, not as a film or a TV show, but had done as a social media experiment. I called him just to give him the heads up, like, look, we're friends. Is it okay if we use this idea? And he was gracious enough to know no one has heard of this idea. Please go ahead. But that's why the index in the show is named the Heisler Index.
That's
when
correct.
We talk about haunted houses. It's our way of saying thank you to Eric.
The library loves you, Eric.
Yeah.
You're fantastic.
Enjoy the episode.